All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Matterhorn Live. It is Neil Wintrig joined by Abby Johnson. We are here tonight to sort of make this the first live of the new year. We're almost 2 weeks late, but we made it.
That's okay. Better late than never, right?
It's been a couple crazy weeks here, and Abby's going on vacation starting tomorrow, so we wanted to make sure we got this out now rather than wait a whole nother week before we get this out. But welcome to everybody. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully your holidays were great and you were able to spend plenty of time with your families. Today we want to talk about 2022 planning and goal setting and thinking big to create your goals. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Abby, and you can say whatever you'd like to.
Yeah, well, just when I'm working with clients one-on-one, we're usually making monthly goals and looking very closely at statistics. And just a common trend I see is it's very easy for people to make a goal smaller and not really go for gold and say, well, we're going to be closed one day because of Thanksgiving. So, we're definitely going to have less income this month. And, there's always an excuse for everything for that. So today, when we're specifically talking about annual goal setting, I think it's really important to think big and like put out that big crazy number and go for it, and don't let yourself like have some justification to make it smaller. And certainly we don't want it to be less than whatever you made in 2021. So that's the first rule, is it has to be more than whatever you did in 2021. But also don't let yourself get too thinky stuck on, well, I don't know, blah blah blah. Like, no, just throw out that big number.
Yeah, throw out the big number and don't I guess if you look back at 2021, I guess my takeaway to everybody would be you can't settle for not achieving your goals. Your goals might not even be, let's say, that big. Looney. Your goals, you might feel like you have small goals. But the point is that your goal is your goal. I can't tell you what your goal is. I tell people all the time, you're not charging enough or you need to be doing more or whatever. But if a person's like, well, if I make 60 G's this year in profit, I'm happy. I can't make somebody make $1 million a year for themselves if they don't need it or want it. Everybody's goals are different. So the thing I will say is that talking to a lot of different people in a lot of different industries is that 2021 was a good year for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. So don't automatically come into this year thinking, oh man, the virus, this and that, and all these things, and it's going to be a terrible year. You can't go into it with that sort of a mentality at all, because if that is your mentality from the beginning, then you're just going to look around for any excuse that you can to not do well. So whatever happened in 2021, whether you had a great year or a bad year in business, my advice is, well, if it was great, keep doing what you were doing. But if you had a bad year, you got to really figure out how to be successful this year. And we can't blame this pandemic anymore for anything. We're coming up on the 2-year mark. It's like, it's been 2 years, you got to do something about it. So,
and if you're still in business at this point,
yeah,
after
you're doing
2
something
years,
right.
Good job. You obviously figured it out. You probably wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't make it go right and make it happen. So we just got to keep on keeping on and make your goals bigger than they were last year.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't just try and be a little bit up from last year. You got to really move and try and have your best year ever in business. That's the goal that you should have. That was my own little tangent there.
No, that's good. I wanted your tangent. So I have I'm going to share my screen here because I wanted to show kind of what I've been doing with clients to break down the big number that you set and make it realistic, tangible, because it's really easy to say, I want to make $500,000 this year, but how are you going to get to that goal, and how do you know throughout the year if you're on track for that goal? So obviously one part of this is tracking your statistics, which we have talked about a lot and we have videos on. But I'm going to show you here how one way that you can break it down and make this easier to achieve. So give me 1 second. Alrighty, so let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit. There we go. So this is just a little quick spreadsheet I made. I've been doing this for some clients just to put it down easily. I did this for Matterhorn. But in this example, it's a really simple example. You'll have to do this for yourself. You don't need to be a spreadsheet guru in order to do this. But let's say, you just started your business in 2021, and this year you really want to go big, and going big for you is $200,000 for the year. And that's going to get you the salary that you want to take home and the growth that you want to see in the business. Now, if you just say, I want to make $200,000 this year, okay, that's $16,666 per month. Okay, but maybe last month you just had a $10,000 month. So setting for January $16,000 is maybe a little bit unrealistic. So that's why I like breaking it down this way. So you see in this scenario, I have the income gradually going up every single month. And then you can also account for seasonality here. So let's say you're in the Halloween industry and your October is always really amped up. You can put that here. For me personally, I'm currently pregnant and going on maternity leave through, May and June. I don't know exactly how long. So I know that I have some one-on-one clients I'm probably going to have to pause. So when I was doing this, I accounted for a dip in income. Now, I normally would not say make a dip in income in your projections, but if you're in my scenario, there's not really much else I can do about that. So
there are realities and barriers at times.
Yeah, there is just the isness that I'm going to be gone for probably at least a month.
Yeah.
I do have some recurring income. Neil's going to be, working with our Adventure to Profit people and such, but there are people that I work with one-on-one that there's really no way around it. I can't really substitute someone for myself, but that's fine. I factored it into my planning for the year. I'm implementing, obviously I have Profit First implemented, and financially I'm planning ahead for that dip. But this is how you can lay out the income column to make it a little more realistic and not just, okay, I need to make $17,000 a month. It's like, okay, how can you start in a realistic place for the beginning of the year and see growth throughout the year? And then from there, you'll see I have these new clients and leads columns. These columns might look different for you depending on your industry. You might need number of products sold or something like that. But here's where you can say, okay, to get to $12,000 a month, I need 6 new clients or customers this month. And to get to this number, I need this amount of clients. I obviously just made this really simple and just stacking gradually. But you can kind of figure out what a new client or customer is worth for you. That's what I did for me personally, is like, on average, if I get a new client, they're worth X amount of dollars. So I know I need 5 new clients this month or whatever it may be. And then from there, if you know your general closing rate, you can figure out how many leads you need. So if for every 12 inquiries, or for every 12 inquiries, you're going to close half of them, then you can now lay out how many leads you need throughout the year, which obviously this is all totaled at the bottom, but now you can make a marketing plan from this column. Okay, what do I need to do to get 12 leads this month? by the end of the year, I'm going to have to be getting almost triple the amount of leads. So I need to join a new networking meeting, or, this year I need to start doing Facebook ads or whatever it may be. So really laying it out like this can also spearhead your actual action plans for the year. And you can start creating like an actual plan step by step of how you're going to achieve these numbers.
Yeah, and I always like to point out to people in this situation that um, we kind of look at it and go, well, I need to make, this much money per month. So let's say for this January example, you say, oh, I need to figure out how to make $12,000 a month. You don't actually have to figure out how to make $12,000 a month. You just need to figure out how to get 12 leads to close 6 new clients to make $12,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
People look at the numbers. We look at our target as what I have to work on, but what you actually have to work on is what makes that number work. So in this case, obviously, this is just an example of uh, any random business, but in this case, it's not how much income do I have to make, it's how many leads do I have to get to sign up enough new clients to make the income. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you've actually put your attention on. It's not the money, it's the leads. So I just want people to understand that's why we break it down that way. Is if you took out the new clients and the leads thing and you just said, okay, this is how much money I need to make each month this year to hit my goal, you're not really focusing in on what you actually need to do to make that money. And that's why the more steps that you can lead, the more targets you can make to create that is what you really need to focus on. And people really lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could drill this down even further. You could make a column for marketing dollars spent. Like if you're
Hmm.
doing Facebook ads or postcards or something like that, then most of the time you'll start learning, and maybe you need to investigate this and find out for yourself. If I spend $100 on Facebook ads, I know I'm going to get one lead from it. Okay, so I need to spend $1,200 on Facebook ads. Whatever. You can keep drilling this down further and further. And this is just one of those examples where looking at data really does help guide you and not make emotional decisions, but it actually makes things tangible. And I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, the numbers are not their favorite part. I see that a lot, but I think this is giving clarity to a lot of people that I've worked with of like, oh, like that goal is realistic. I know what I need to do now.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, that's all I had.
I was like, oh yes, what's next?
What's next?
Um, so for me, what I guess the point that I'll get into, the mindset, so to speak, of what it is that you're trying to do here. So as a business owner, and especially in a time of a lot of barriers in the world as far as working goes, depending on where you live and whether your state's locked down or not locked down, these things are semi locked down, whatever they are now. I'm in Florida, so
It's the Wild West down here.
yeah,
So.
we're normal. Um, but I hear everything that's going on. I talk to obviously a lot of people in other states, so there's different barriers that you're going to have. But no matter those barriers, no matter what's going on, you have to think bigger in terms of what it is that you have to achieve and what it is that you have to do. You know, like if we go back to that example of that spreadsheet that you had there, okay, somebody could say, well, I need to make $200,000 this year. Well, I'm telling you, okay, well, how many new clients a month is that? How many new leads do you need to do that? How much marketing do you have to do that? You can't just sit around and wait for your phone to ring. So all of your actions and things that you're doing need to be geared towards what's going to get you more leads, more new clients, and then the money is going to follow itself. Um, I'm a big I'm a big fan of like racing and motorsports and all that kind of stuff. And so every team at the beginning of the year says, "Oh yeah, we're out here and we're going to compete for a championship." And you're like, "Yeah, right. There's really only two drivers or two teams that even have a chance." But these teams sometimes do go into it thinking, "Oh yeah, we've got a good car this year. We've got a great bike, or we're going to, you know." And then they get 1 or 2 races in, and then it's like, "Oh, well, that didn't go our way, and that didn't happen." And they're sitting there thinking, "Okay, yeah, we have a fast car, so we're gonna win." That's kind of like saying, "Well, I have a great product, so I'm gonna be a millionaire." You have to look at what does it actually take? Like, what is the actual strategy that it takes to become to the point where you can hit those goals. And what you find out is that the successful teams every year outsmart and outwit and are just 1 or 2 steps ahead of every other team. The other teams come in for their pit stop and the other teams are still out there. Then at the end of the race, who wins? The team that always wins. Why? They timed everything right. They saw the rain coming. They knew what was going to happen if they pitted too early. Okay, then the other team's like, "Oh wow, we really messed that up, but our car is faster than your car. How do you keep beating us?" Well, it's your strategy. It's the things that go into making that vision of winning that championship. And so when you say, "Yeah, I've got this great product and it's better than my competitors," you can't just say, "Well, because I have the fastest car, we're going to win this year." It doesn't work that way. There's there's targets and goals that lead up to making that a reality, and most people just get fixated in the, "I have this product, it's worth this much, I'm going to make $1 million this year." Well, what does it take to actually make that million? How many of these things do you have to have in stock? How many people a week do you have to talk to? I mean, I have statistics of my businesses, and I know if I talk to 10 people this week, I'm going to be able to probably sell 4 or 5 of my products. So how do I talk to 10 people? Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday and I've only talked to 2 people this week. I need to talk to 8 people between now and Friday. That's what my whole goal becomes, is talking to 8 more people. And that's what I end up focusing all my goals on. Um and that's what you have to focus on too, is what goes into making that um $1 million, or what goes into making your product be successful. And that's where people get lost, is they just sort of get stuck in the, "Well, you know what, everything's different with the coronavirus, so I'm just not going to be successful this year." Okay, you're just not going to be successful. But that's almost like saying, "Well, I have this great product, so I'm just going to sit on my couch and effing wait for my phone to ring." Okay, well, you're not going to win that either. You have to think in, like, let's just say I want to make $1 million. Okay, how do I make $2 million? How would I make $2 million? Okay, lay out a plan to make your 2 million, and you'll probably hit your million, your million and a half, or who knows, you might knock it out of the park and hit your 5 or 10. But if you sit there and go, "I need to make $1 million," or let's go back to your example, Abby, 212 or whatever it was. "I need
Mhm.
to make $212,000." Well, if you're 25% off of your goal, you're in trouble. So your goal isn't, "How do I make 200,000?" Your goal is, "How do I make 300,000 and end up 25% off of my goal?" Because then I win, right? So it's the amount of effort that it takes to achieve or to get something done that you have to be able to estimate and think with. And that's where successful people and unsuccessful people deviate, is they don't the successful team isn't sitting there saying, "We're going to win a championship this year. We won last year. We have the best drivers. We have the best cars. We're just going to do what we did again." No, they come back the next year with something that blows everybody's mind. They're like, "What the heck is that? Like, these guys are 3 seconds faster than us every race, and now they're 5 seconds faster than us every race." Why? Because they didn't sit there and say, "Well, we hope we can win a championship this year, or it's going to be a little tight." They said, "How do we destroy the competition?" And they thought bigger and bigger and bigger every year. That's what a business has to do, and that's what your mindset has to be successful. It is a mindset that leads to that success, and the successful people are always thinking bigger, while other people that are just getting by are always thinking smaller. You have to decide for yourself where you're going to be and what you're going to do. And
Yeah.
I would also be remiss to not point out Chris's comment there in the live chat there.
Thanks, Christine. Surprise.
Chris is happy for Abby's baby that's due here soon. So happy New Year, Chris. Um, so these are the types of things that I think of when, when I get motivated by something. I um again, we'll stick with the motorsports thing. Motorsports is what drives me. It's what gets me excited. So I watched the Michael Schumacher documentary on Netflix, and I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing driving documentary. I'm sitting there looking at like, look at his mentality to do what he did. Like his mentality of getting over these barriers every year and achieving the goal and what it actually took to do that is way bigger than you realize. And that's kind of like the stuff that I watch or whatever that I always find that inner lining in of like success, the big thinkingness that goes into these types of things. And everybody's hobby has that, but for me it's motorsports, it's racing, it's things of that nature. But you know, you look at it and you go, here's this team that wins every year, and each year they keep raising the bar on what they did the year before when they probably could have brought the car that won the championship last year and everybody else is making their cars faster and they'd probably still win, but here they are making it even faster and even bigger and even better because their goal isn't just hopefully we win a championship, it's we're going to destroy the competition. Their actions speak for that.
Yeah, and I think as like maybe floofy as it sounds, there really is something to be said that you get what you put your attention on. And it's really easy to get caught up in the day to day and putting out fires and whatever. But I can tell you from personal experience that the times when I actually set a goal for the month, I actually ended up achieving that goal because then my attention was on it. And just like Neil was saying, I was like, oh, that's my goal for the month. I need to actually be making progress towards that instead of getting stuck down and in the mud in the depths of whatever else is
Yeah, yeah.
going on. So, especially as the business owner, this is part of you being a visionary and moving the business forward.
Yeah, it's almost like sometimes you have to ignore everything that's going on and focus on the thing that you know that's going to bring about the result. So like it's easy for me to say that because like everything I do is always talking about sales and that's what I've done. I've been a public speaker and I've been a salesman in multiple businesses and all that kind of stuff. But it's almost like but I also do, I am a business owner, etc. But sometimes I'm like, okay, these are all these things that I have to do that I probably should do right now. But I always just look back to like, I'm going to ignore those things because I know that unless I focus on this thing right here, it doesn't mean anything. Like, I have to hit the number of new leads, I have to hit the number of new clients. So that's what I'm putting all my effort into. Even though I should probably be doing this other thing, or I definitely need to do the other thing, the reality is if I don't get those new clients that are on that spreadsheet, nothing, it doesn't mean anything. So
Mm-hmm.
you just have to like sometimes, even if there's like a quote unquote fire that you have to go and put your attention on, sometimes it's like, you know what? That fire is actually not as big of a fire as the fact that I don't have 10 new clients this month. And that's all I'm focusing on. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to be willing to take that approach. And a lot of people aren't willing to take that approach.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
Yeah. It kind of makes me think of somebody that we know from our adventure to profit who ends up getting sidetracked into all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a schedule and your schedule of like, okay, I'm going to focus on this today and I'm going to do this today. And these are the things I need to do. And then a client will call this person and say, hey, can you do this for me? And it's like, sure. And drop everything and get that done, even though the timeline isn't realistic enough. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be willing to tell somebody like, yeah, I'm going to get to that next week because I am slammed this week or I'm booked this week. But you're kind of like, well, if I just do this now, then I can do the other stuff later. You have to focus on the bigger picture and be able to prioritize that that isn't actually as important as everything else that I'm doing, even though it is important. And you can't just tell somebody like, nope, sorry, you know, you have to be willing to prioritize and say that's not the important item or the important thing that needs to be done to hit the goal. And that's, I think, an area that people really they can't look at that big picture. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I mentioned that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope this was helpful for everyone watching. Please leave us a comment. If you feel comfortable sharing what your big crazy goal is for 2022, let us know. Or it could just be how many new clients you want this year, or whatever. It doesn't have to be revenue. But if you want more information like this, I highly encourage you to check out our program, Adventure to Profit. We have a whole module in there all about statistics so you can get set up tracking your data and you know exactly where you stand in your goals. So go check out that program at adventuretoprofit.com.
Yeah, and also for 2022, we're going to be getting back into the weekly live streams again. That was something that obviously we were doing every week up until July. So we're going to be, probably more myself. We'll be doing more of the weekly live streams with either guests or just myself plus you guys. So if you have certain topics or things that you would like us to talk about, please send me news articles of topics or subjects that you want to hear. Leave some comments down below on topics or things or problems that you're running into in business, because the live stream each week is a way to do something, kind of different and not just a standard YouTube video that we record and work on every week. So uh, be sure. I'm not sure what day each week it's going to be. We used to do them on Mondays because that was convenient for our schedules. But I am going to be doing a live stream a week, and I've got some guests lined up that are going to be coming in and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Put the notification bell on so that you get a notice every time we do go live. And with that, I guess I will say we will see you next time. Have a great week. Set your goals. Looney,
One last time.
one last appearance.
Yeah.
Set your goals. Have a good week. Think big. Focus on the things that are important for your weekly statistics and your goals that you're trying to set. And then I'll see you next week on the next Matterhorn Live. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.